Welcome to the Guardian Credit Union Sunbelt Baseball Championships presented by Troy University. For those in the room, when asking a question, please remember to identify yourself with your name and media affiliation. For those joining us on Zoom, please remain on mute and type your questions into the chat. We are joined now by Southern Miss, led by head coach Scott Berry. Coach, would you please begin with an opening statement and introduce your player?
All right. Very proud of our game today. I mean, it was a hard-fought contest between a really good Troy team, and really want to compliment them on their effort. And, making that game go back and forth. I mean, that's what college baseball is all about. I know as a coach, sometimes you come up empty there on the win side of it, but you got to feel proud of how your team played, and I'm sure it does over there at Schuyler. But our guys, just resilient. They weathered the storm. There were a couple of innings where we scored, didn't get the shutdown, and credit Troy for that again. But at the end of the day, it was there at the end of the game where some guys had some kind of rough games, and I know in our meeting, Danny, and this is Danny Lynch, our third baseman, our captain, who's with us today. But after the game, he spoke a little bit about himself, Sarge, Slade, the prior at bats not being what they wanted, and we talk all the time about your last at bat's going to be the most important. Doesn't matter what you do, the first 2, 3, whatever. As you move through the course of a game, it's the last one that usually defines what's going to happen in that game. And certainly Slade starting that ninth off with a base hit, Sarge with his third walk of the night, and then of course Danny with the walk-off RBI. I couldn't be more proud of that. So I know there's going to be a lot of questions.
Coach, grit was a term used a lot for the basketball team, but this team really shows a lot of grit. You've lost one game since that weekend out at Coastal. You must be proud of the grit and determination.
Well, I am. Certainly, I'm very proud of the inside leadership that we have right here. Is a big part of that. It's what we call chemistry. We talked about it a lot last year. Last year's team was different in the fact that the chemistry formed a lot earlier in the year than it has this year. But I think chemistry is a part of role playing, understanding your role, and having the separation between starters and role players. And it took a while for this team to get to that point where that separation is, both on the mound, in the bullpen, and in the field. But we've gotten that, and we've gotten that now. We've figured that out. Everybody, I think, is comfortable with their role and what they're asked to do. And certainly that's what we call chemistry. But it really starts on the inside. I mean, we can kind of direct things on the outside, but the guys on the inside are the ones that have to take it and really buy into it and invest in it, and they did.
Danny, just take us through walking off the game right there. What was the feeling like? What was the pitch like? All that.
I just kind of went up there looking for a fastball, and he was going to try to get ahead. He didn't want to walk me. Nick's been doing a real good job behind me, so they didn't want to pitch to Nick. I was just looking for a fastball and looking to hit it. It was kind of a sinker guy, so I was trying to hit the ball in the air, and I was able to hit that ball in line and win it.
You were 0 for 4 going into that bat. I mean, what becomes your mentality as you step into the box?
It's like we talked about. I said it going into the last inning. It's not really about how you've done to this point. It's about this. The game's tied at 6, and we did a good job keeping it in the middle of the ring. And Slade got us going, and I think he was 0 for 4 too going into that point. Sarge had another walk. I think he had 2 walks before that, but I think his first 2 at-bats weren't very good, and he picked it up later in the game, and I did the same. And it's just about staying in the middle of the ring, and whether I have a bad at-bat 10 times in a row, I'm going to be just as confident going up the 11th time as I was the first time.
Coach, I know throughout the season you've talked about getting punched and then punching back. It felt like getting those 3 runs in the 8th, I believe, punching right back just has to be really motivating.
Well, it does. I mean, because that's what you kind of teach. And, that's not just what happens on the baseball field. That happens in life. All these things apply to things in days ahead in our lives and their lives about being able to draw from those experiences. And, that eighth inning was, we self-destructed in there, obviously, and Troy took advantage of it, getting the 3 runs back. But I think at the end of the day, we got up off the mat or got off the ropes, however you want it. We brought the fight back into the middle of the ring, and were able to deliver that last blow. So had some really big at bats in the game. Etzel and Dickerson, they had two bats apiece where they drove in runs, and Etzel had another one there. I think he probably had 3 RBIs on the day, I believe. But you know, I thought the real key bat was Blake Johnson there, first and second. We had a hit and run on. Nicky didn't get it at second base. Pato did. When I saw that, I said, this isn't going to be good. And but Blake was able. He just nearly hit the ball out of the park, but wanted to try to start him up and kind of think for him in that situation. And it really was a big part of that game today, and creating that momentum and taking it back.
Danny, just to coach's point about you guys being able to respond, you know, punches back and forth. Just is that the mark of a mature team? You guys have played a lot of baseball. You've been in those moments before.
Yeah, I think that's a lot to do with it. I think the biggest thing is people, you know, when you implode like we did in the top of the 8th, we kind of imploded. We played bad defense, and, you know, Storm did his job, and we just gave up runs. It's easy to start freaking out and everybody go crazy and everybody do too much instead of, you know, just going back to what we always do. We always try to relax, have good at bats, be on time for fastballs, and when they throw them in the zone, hit them. And I think that's the biggest thing about it is just staying positive and not freaking out because you have one bad inning.
Coach, how big is the day's rest for you, sir?
Well, certainly as the format is laid out, it'll be really big because the two winners in the losers bracket, they'll have to play tomorrow, so that'll tire them a little bit. But there's a part of me that wants to keep playing every day. Trust me, but that's not the way the format is, and you don't get that call. So we'll just have to show up on Saturday with the mindset that we've had on Wednesday and Thursday and be ready to play. So we'll certainly try to take advantage of it as much as we can. The obvious is you're not going to be using pitching when they are, which really moves in our favor. But we'll work out tomorrow with everything and enjoy the day off and get ready to go. I guess at 9 o'clock Saturday morning, so it'll be an early wake up call.
Just talk about the pitching tonight. Gave up some stuff, but it felt like they always made the pitch that they needed to.
Yeah, they did. I'll tell you what, that's a tough lineup to navigate through. They got some really scary hitters in there that can hurt you with one swing. But I thought Odom pitched really well, covering, getting us deep in the game with 5. Nico came in, did his job. We gave up the 1 run there on a ground ball, but once again, I think you got to credit Troy's hitters as well in that situation. But Storm got some bad luck there. He inherited first and second. I don't know. It was a little swinging bunt down there that he slipped, and then they got a base hit. Of course, then we kind of threw it around. But I thought our pitching, for the most part, gave us every opportunity to win. I think if there's anything there, we had a chance for 2 shutdown innings, which we did. That they came back and scored after we did. But I think when we going back to this game and everything that happened, and I think that prior contests that we've had have prepared us and educated us how to handle those moments that we handled today. They were very mature in the dugout there. Like Danny said, there wasn't any panic. There wasn't any panic out of anybody. I think we're drawing from past experiences, having gone through that and failed from it, but then also having gone through that, and I look back to that 3rd game at Coastal Carolina where we jumped out 4-0, and the next thing you know it's 7-4 Coastal Carolina, and we could have easily folded there. I think no doubt that game, and you can use that game moving forward. What are we, 19 of our last 20 now? Is that what it is? But we showed ourselves who we were and what we could be, and they have never forgotten that. And when those moments happen, just like today, I'm not going to say it happens every time, but you're in a better place because you have been able to come out of those situations a winner.
Well, if he keeps this up, we're going to have to make a statue of Danny Lynch at the front of the
You
campus.
sure are. But hey, what position it'll be in, I have no idea.
All right, I got a question for both of you. Talk a little bit about the atmosphere that the fans provided tonight. You hear them loud. They traveled out here. What does that do for you from a player's perspective, and then as a coach, how does that make you feel?
You want to go?
It's awesome. When the fans travel, it's awesome. I remember I feel like every year I've been here, the fans continue to travel better and better to away, series like this, whether it's the regional or the conference tournament, stuff like that. Our fans just keep traveling better and better, and I mean, it feels good, when you're at a park and kind of feels like the middle of nowhere. We're 4 hours from home, and the fans still come. They still come. They're here all week, and it's what is it? A Thursday? It's a Thursday. They're skipping work to come all the way out here. It means a lot that they're supporting us like that.
Yeah, I echo exactly what he said. We've had fantastic crowds all year long. I think our people have been ready for this tournament. They're excited about being in the Sun Belt. They're excited about it's close to drive. We've had it at Southern Miss. We've had it at Biloxi. Certainly that's closer for our people, but where we are right now in Montgomery, it gives them an opportunity to come, and certainly our people, or our players, feed off from that. It makes me feel so good that there's people out there that invest and love our program, and it's shown all year.
Anything else? Thank you, guys.